Namaste and welcome back to We Mystic. The recent terrorist attack at Pahalgam has deeply impacted us, and India's response has been a topic of intense focus. The Modi government has taken decisive steps to counter terrorism, targeting a nation heavily dependent on foreign aid. One significant move has been the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, a strategy aimed at exerting pressure through water management. This tactic is often referred to as water strangulation and has been widely discussed in the media for its potential impact. Looking into the news, I began reflecting on the government's broader strategies over the years, observing back events like the Balakot and the Pulwama attacks. I noticed striking similarities to the principles of the Kautilya Niti, the ancient Indian strategic framework. It's clear that a long term plan was in place, one that involved careful laying of traps for adversaries, strengthening alliances with global superpowers, and continuously refining economic policies like the tax regime. This realization felt like a breakthrough moment. The upcoming conflict could be unlike we have ever seen before. Meticulously planned, strategically brilliant, and potentially prolonged, lasting maybe over a year. The influence of Chanakya's timeless strategy seems evident in the government's approach, showcasing a blend of ancient and modern tactics. But before we go ahead about the news trends, let us take a look at the ancient mastermind, Chanakya, the master strategist who wrote the Arthashastra, which is 2300-year-old playbook on warfare, diplomacy, and power. Today, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is often compared to Chanakya for his bold moves against Pakistan and China. But is Modi following Kautilya's teachings? Let's break down the shocking similarities. From economic warfare to river blockades, and uncover whether India is silently waging Chanakya-style war on its enemies. Arthashastra is a meticulous treatise on statecraft, warfare, and power. The Niti Shastra is a literature on personal growth. But both these teachings built an empire that defeated Alexander's successors. Now, centuries later, observers wonder, is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi channeling the same ruthless pragmatism against modern adversaries? Kautilya, also known as Chanakya, was not just a philosopher. He was the ultimate realist. His Arthashastra outlines five key principles of warfare that transcend time. First, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Second, the economic strangulation before military conquest. Third, perception is power. Fourth, silent wars like assassination and espionage. Fifth, control the land and its water. Centuries later, these strategies are not relics of history. They are tools of modern geopolitics. And India, under Narendra Modi ji, appears to be wielding them with utmost precision. Now let us ponder on the first key point. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. In this diplomatic chessboard, India's foreign policy under Modi mirrors Chanakya's ancient wisdom. Flexible, calculated, and ruthlessly pragmatic. With the US, Modi strengthens defense, trade, and tech ties, positioning India as a democratic counterweight to China. Yet, he keeps Russia close, balancing historical loyalty with strategic necessity. The Quad alliance with the US, Japan, and Australia tightens India's grip on the Indo Pacific, while deft policy in the Middle East, brokering deals between the UAE and Israel, secures energy, investment, and influence. Every move is deliberate, every alliance a spoke in a widening wheel of power designed to encircle adversaries without firing a single shot. This is famously known as the Mandala theory in the Arthashastra. Second, economic strangulation before military conquest. India has learned the art of economic combat from Chanakya's playbook. When Chinese apps threatened India's national security, they were banned, and not just to protect the data, but to cripple Beijing's digital dominance. The Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign fuels a quiet revolution, pushing India towards self reliance in manufacturing, technology, and defense. Then there's RuPay cards. Once a domestic alternative, now challenge global payment monopolies, ensuring financial sovereignty. This is an economic warfare in its purest form, weakening rivals before fortifying home ground, just as the Arthashastra prescribes. Together, these initiatives reflect India's push for economic sovereignty and resilience in an increasingly competitive global landscape. Chanakya wrote, "A king must drain the enemy's wealth before raising his sword." In 2020, after the Galwan clash, India banned over 300 Chinese apps, striking at Beijing's digital economy while promoting self reliance. Third, the perception war. Chanakya knew that battles are won not just on the battlefield, but in the minds of the men. Modern India has mastered this art, where every strike is a message, every speech is a weapon. The 2016 surgical strike and the Balakot air strike were more than military operations. They were psychological masterstrokes. Broadcasted in real time, they sent a clear signal. India would no longer play by the old rules of restraint. On the global stage, Modi's speech on terrorism reframes the narrative, painting India not as a victim but as a leader in the fight against extremism. Meanwhile, social media becomes a digital battleground. Trending hashtags, viral videos, and strategic leaks shape public opinion, turning perception into power. This is not just diplomacy, it is information warfare. When narratives are controlled, myths are shattered, and the world is made to see India on its own terms. In darkness beyond public view, a silent war rages, one of spies, double agents, and whispered intelligence. Raw operatives move unseen, infiltrating hostile networks, sabotaging threats before they materialize. When foreign agents are caught on Indian soil, like the ISI moles embedded in sensitive sectors, their arrests are not mere law enforcement. They are strategic counterblows sending a warning. India's intelligence apparatus watches, waits, and strikes when least expected. This is Chanakya's silent war, where assassins once used poison and daggers, now cyber operatives hack, diplomats manipulate, and deep cover agents dismantle enemy plans from within. The public may never know the full extent of these shadow games, but their effects ripple across borders, weakening adversaries without a single official declaration of war. These actions highlight India's commitment to maintaining its sovereignty and security in the face of hidden adversaries. The Arthashastra dedicates an entire chapter on silent killings. While India denies allegation reports of intelligence operations abroad, I cannot differ with the Indian narrative. But what's the point of a covert operation? Of course, India is secretive with it. Nothing wrong. A war is won by the killing of the enemy, not by getting killed, which mirrors Chanakya's doctrine of eliminating threats which are unseen. Fifth, and the ultimate weapon, controlling water. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement, "Blood and water cannot flow together," was rooted in India's response to cross border terrorism, particularly after the Pulwama attack in 2019. These phrases symbolize India's firm stance against Pakistan's alleged support for terrorism and its impact on bilateral relations. Modi's speech highlighted India's willingness to reconsider Indus Water Treaty, a water sharing agreement established in the 1960s as a non-military measure to pressure Pakistan. The treaty governs the distribution of rivers between two nations, and Modi's remarks signaled India's intent to leverage this agreement to address security concerns. The speech was a culmination of India's frustration over repeated terrorist attacks and its desire to hold Pakistan accountable. Modi's words resonated as a call for action, emphasizing that peace and cooperation cannot coexist with violence and terrorism. Chanakya knew rivers were lifelines. By threatening to reinterpret the Indus Water Treaty, India is flexing a Chanakyan tactic using geography as a leverage. China does the same thing with the Brahmaputra. India is not the first one to weaponize water. History shows that this is a brutal but effective strategy. China did this by damming the Brahmaputra to pressure India and Bangladesh. Turkey did this, restricting the Euphrates to weaken Syria. Egypt versus Ethiopia, it's a very famous the Nile Dam conflict. The parallels are striking, but is this deliberate strategy or historical deja vu? Chanakya's world was one of ruthless pragmatism. In today's complex geopolitics, Modi seems to be reviving that same cold calculus. Whether inspired by the ancient texts or modern necessity, one thing is clear. The Arthashastra's lessons on power are far from obsolete. In the grand chessboard of nations, India is playing a long game and the world is watching. There are three books that decode Modi's master plan. First is the Arthashastra. This isn't just a book, it's a Bible of political strategy. Written by Chanakya himself, it covers everything from economic warfare to assassination techniques. If you want to understand Modi's long game, you must read this book. It explains why India uses economic pressure, psychological dominance, and even river control as weapon. This book is elaborate, and I would like you to read this book if you want to know his long-term game plan. But what if you don't want to conquer nations? Just master your own life. That's where Chanakya Neeti comes in. Just a 3 pointers from Chanakya Neeti. First, your enemy's enemy is your friend. This is the same as the Arthashastra. But this is used not for geopolitical reasons. It is used in business and trades. Second, never reveal your full plan. This is extremely helpful during negotiations in business and personal affairs. Third, control the narrative and control the people. Chanakya Neeti is shorter, more practical, and filled with timeless wisdom. Perfect if you want actionable strategies without the heavy philosophy. Now, the third book is a very interesting book. It isn't ancient. It is being written right now by history itself. Modi's decisions are a real-time case study of Chanakya's principles in action. Economic warfare, alliance building, psychological dominance, everything. So want to predict India's next move? Study these two books. Then watch Modi's strategy unfold like a living textbook. So here's your homework. Read Arthashastra to understand power. Study Chanakya Neeti to master strategy in daily life. And third, observe the news or observe Modi to see it applied in real time. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is victory. Drop a comment which book you will read first. And if you want me to put up a detailed summary of these two books, smash that like button. I'll make a part 2 breaking them down. That's it from We Mystic today. Until then, keep reading, keep watching the news, and we never know what's coming next. Namaste.